Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to today's English lesson for the 10th grade, Unit 10. Today's episode will be about stories. Ever since we were children, we've heard so many stories about treasure islands, about superheroes, and even about things like Alibaba. So let's begin with the tips for the set book questions. Make sure to read all the questions carefully. Remember that the questions are of general nature, so you can use your background knowledge and textbook information. Write full, meaningful sentences. You need to provide two causes, reasons, or effects if the question asks to. Pay attention to handwriting and spelling because we don't want you to lose some marks over those. Revise your answers before you hand in your exam paper. So let's begin with our lesson. The Holy Quran stories. We know that the Holy Quran has a lot of stories. So I want you to think about these certain questions. What different types of stories are there in the Holy Quran? For the second question, how do they benefit us? And then list some of the virtues mentioned in the Holy Quran, some of the qualities that you should have from the Holy Quran. So keep those in mind as we go along through the lesson. Can you mention the different types of stories? We have two different types. There are stories that entertain us, makes us enjoy and use our imagination. And there are other stories that have moral lessons, things to teach us, things for us to learn. What are the benefits of reading stories? We have three. The first one, they help us gain wisdom. Two, it explains to us certain experiences that we do not have right now, but other people went through. Last but not least, it helps us use our imagination. It helps us develop our imagination. So what different type of stories are there in the Holy Quran? Well, the Holy Quran includes stories of previous prophets, like Muhammad, and messengers and stories about previous nations. How do you think the stories in the Holy Quran benefit us? We learn lessons and morals. We can also learn from the mistakes of the past nations. For example, we have Luqman. There is a story about Luqman and his son. He gave his son certain advices. For example, he told him that you should be grateful to your parents. Another advice is you should keep praying regularly. You should also enjoin what is just. And you should forbid what is wrong. He also told him things not to do, or things to be kind of aware of. You shouldn't associate anything with Allah. You shouldn't be proud and insolent. You shouldn't be arrogant, and you shouldn't speak very loudly. You shouldn't speak aloud. Last but not least, you shouldn't treat people rudely. You should treat them with respect. So what does the word gratefulness mean? We should show gratefulness to our parents. What does it mean? It's a noun. It means thankfulness, showing or expressing thanks to another person. For example, we all like having you as our teacher. You have our respect and gratefulness. What about insolence? Here it is a noun. It means rude behavior which does not show respect. For example, it is insolence to disobey your parents. Then we have enjoin. It's a verb. It means to tell or encourage someone to do something or behave in a certain way. For example, doctors enjoin people to stay at home for their own safety. The next word is composure. It is also a noun. It means a feeling of being calm, confident, and control of oneself. For example, it is important to keep your composure during difficult times, to stay calm. What about the word constancy? It's a new word for you, and I'm sure it's a little bit difficult. I'll explain it. First of all, it's a noun. Now for the meaning, it means the quality of staying the same or not changing. I assure you that constancy of my help to you will never stop. We have the next word, which is injustice. These are also terms we learn from the Holy Quran. Injustice is a noun. It means when there is no justice or fairness. For example, a judge's role is to make sure justice is done and to stop all types of injustice. The next word is self-restraint. It's a noun. It means the control of your emotions and actions. Or it could mean self-control. For example, we should be patient and exercise self-restraint when we get angry. So we learned some vocabulary items. Let's take a vocabulary task and then test your vocabulary awareness right now. Fill in the spaces with the most suitable words from the list below. We have injustice, gratefulness, composure, and enjoin. The first sentence says, offering our mothers presents shows our respect and blank to them. So, if you offer your mother a present, it shows them that you have respect for them and you have something else. It means thankful. What's the other word for thankful? Is it injustice? Is it gratefulness, composure, or enjoin? I gave you a hint, and I think that will help you find the answer very quickly. Excellent job. It's gratefulness. Well done. For question number 2, parents blank their children to read more books. So our parents sometimes tell us to read more books. They order us, command us. So what's the word that goes here? Is it injustice, composure, or enjoin? Again, I gave you a hint. I think that will help you. The word is enjoin. Well done. You have been paying attention. So number 3, be fair with all the workers. Otherwise, it will be considered unfair. What's another word for unfair? It's injustice. Well done. The next word here is border. It's a noun. A line separating one country from another. For example, when I reached the border, they asked me for my passport. The next word is drop off. It's a phrasal verb. To take someone by car and leave them in a particular place. For example, the taxi driver asked me, where shall I drop you off? The next word is pick up. It's also a phrasal verb, and it's also the opposite of drop off. It means to bring someone from a place. For example, I will pick you up at 8 to take you to the airport. The next word is register, a verb. It means to enter your name details on an official list. So for example, you must register online if you want to attend the classes. What about the word load? It's also a verb. To fill or put a lot of things into something else. For example, you load your bag with clothes when you travel. Or you load a washing machine with clothes to be washed. You fill it up. The next word is reload. It's the same word, however, it just means that you do it again. It means to load something again. For example, we have the coffee machine here. We all have them. The coffee machine is beeping. I need to reload it with coffee containers to put again. So now let's test your vocabulary tasks and see if you paid attention. Fill in the spaces with the most suitable words from the list below. We have sudden, register, smuggle, border, and injustice. Sentence number 1 says, last night a man was caught trying to cross. So what was the man trying to cross? Is it a wall? Is it something else? Could it be sudden, register, smuggle, border, or injustice? The answer is border. Excellent job. Now for sentence number 2. The blank stop of the plane frightened the passenger. So the passengers are in a plane, and something happened that frightened them. What happened? Is the word sudden, register, smuggle, or injustice? So the answer is sudden. Well done. If you got this one wrong, you have question 3 to make that up. Sarah will blank for a special course to improve her language. So Sarah will do something in order to learn and improve her language in a special course. What did she do? Register, smuggle, or injustice? I gave you a hint and it's very obvious. You should find it right now. The answer is register. Well done. For number 4, the police caught someone who tried to blank medicine. So someone was doing something with medicine and the police caught them. What were they doing? Smuggle or injustice? Again, it should be very clear right now. It's smuggle. Excellent job. Here we have some personal stories and events. When you want to begin a story, how can you begin it? And if you want to end a story, how can you end it? There are very different types of letters. We have a formal and informal. Again, when we're talking about letters, they are also another form that tell us stories. So we have the formal letters that sometimes we write, for example, a company. And we have informal letters that we write sometimes to a friend or a family member. For example, in the past, people used to write letters to tell each other stories about their lives or about the societies they lived in. For example, here is a letter here. It contains a story. Let's read it together. Hi, how are you? Sorry I didn't reply to your letter. I've been crazily busy. This is the new word for you, right? Crazily. You can understand that it comes from the word crazy. So crazily here is an adverb. It means to a great degree or in a way that is not normal or reasonable. For example, the young girl got crazily happy when her parents told her they were going on a holiday. She was very happy. Let's continue with the letter. This week, I've got stacks of time. Why? Because I'm in hospital with a broken leg. We have a new vocabulary item here that says stacks of. What is it? It's a noun, and it means a pile of objects, typically one that is neatly arranged to a large amount. For example, like the photo you see, there is a stack of books on the floor. Or the teacher has a stack of tests to correct. To continue, I'll tell you what happened. I was going to school as usual last Wednesday on my bike. The traffic was dreadful. Again, we have a new word here. It's dreadful. What do you think it means? It's an adjective. Dreadful means very bad. For example, the restaurant's service was bad and the food was dreadful. Let's continue with the story. The bus I was behind stopped at a bus stop and people got off. I started to overtake the bus, but suddenly it pulled out. We have two different words here, and I'll explain them to you right now. We have the word overtake. We usually see this happen on roads. Overtake is a verb. It means to catch up with a vehicle and pass it while traveling in the same direction. For example, always look at the mirror before you overtake a car in front of you, just like the image you see. For sudden, it's also an adjective. It means done quickly without warning. For example, the sudden stop of the plane frightened the passengers. To end the story with a few more vocabulary items, the bus knocked me off my bike and into the middle of the road. Thank goodness I was wearing helmets. So this is a very interesting story. There was some experience here and there that we learned from it. However, let's take the word knock off. What does it mean? It means to cause to fall off by being hit or pushed by force. For example, the bus knocked the driver or the rider off his bike. To end the letter, unfortunately, a car was coming in the other direction. It couldn't stop in time and it crushed my leg. The next thing I remember is waking up in hospital with my leg in plaster. I may be smiling, but it's still very painful. The doctor says I have to rest to recuperate for another week. We have the word recuperate. If you read the sentence again, I think you can guess the meaning. Recuperate is a verb. It means to recover or become better again after illness or injury. For example, the patient did not recuperate as quickly as the doctor had expected. So he did not heal or become better. To continue, the daytime TV programs are terrible, so I'm writing letters to all my friends. It's an adjective. It means something boring because it is repeated and never changes, with no variety. At the end, please write soon and tell me your news. Hope you haven't been as lucky as me. Bye, Marcus. We have a few vocabulary items in the end. Set off, it's a phrasal verb. It means to begin a journey or a trip. For example, my uncle set off on a trip to Europe after he retired. He began his journey to Europe. The word smuggle, a verb, to take goods from one country to another illegally. For example, the police arrested the man because he was trying to smuggle. Touchdown, it's a phrasal verb to make contact with the ground in landing. Usually this happens in planes. For example, when the plane touched down, it made a loud sound. Turn up is a phrasal verb. It means to arrive somewhere, especially when you are expected there. For example, the host invited a lot of people to the party, but only a few turned up. Let's go quickly for a vocabulary task. We'll take 2 sentences only. It took me 2 weeks to blank after I broke my leg. So the answer is here. Recuperate. Excellent. And earthquakes are blank. They destroy everything. The answer here is dreadful. Very excellent. So for this unit or this episode, we learned new vocabulary items and sentences, and we also answered some set book questions. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.